Welcome to today's Beyond the Sea webinar, Exploring Data Literacy Needs at Your Institution. My name is Kiri Burkett, and I'm the Data and Evaluation Coordinator for the Southeastern Atlantic region. Today's speakers are Teresa Burris and Emily Mann from the University of South Florida, St. Petersburg. But before I turn things over to them, I have just a few administrative notes. Everyone is going to be muted throughout the webinar, so you'll all be communicating through the chat box. And as you're sharing and commenting and asking questions, please be sure that you're sending to all attendees so that myself, our presenters, and your colleagues can see all of your questions and comments. There will be a time at the end of the session for you to ask questions. So if you have questions for Teresa and Emily, please hang on to them until then. That'll just help us make sure that we don't miss your questions. As I said, the webinar is being recorded. Once it's posted on YouTube, you will all get an email with the slides, the link to the recording, and the link to the evaluation form that you can use to claim MLACE if you plan to do that. If you need closed captioning for today's webinar, I'm going to post that link in the chat box once again for those of you who have just joined. So this is the URL that you currently see on your screen. And now, without further ado, welcome Emily and Teresa. I am going to pass things over to you.
Thank you, Kiri. Thanks very much to both Kiri Burkett and the National Network of the Libraries of Medicine for inviting us to present this webinar. We'll start by introducing ourselves and how we became interested in data literacy. So my name is Teresa Burris, and I was involved in lots of data-related projects during more than a decade as a science librarian at the USGS Coastal and Marine Science Center here in Florida. Then at my first academic librarian position, I became humanities liaison, and I focused more on learning about digital pedagogy, platforms, and tools, sharing with humanities faculty along the way. But at the same time, I partnered with a math professor who developed a course on dealing with data meant for humanities students. So when I became the science librarian, came back to science here at USF St Pete, I was really interested in finding out what the skills and resources that sciences students needed. So proposing a faculty learning community around data literacy seemed like a promising way to do this. And full disclosure, while I am a science librarian, my academic background is in humanities. And so I just recently finished taking an undergraduate statistics course for my own research purposes. And while I don't have ambitions to become a statistics consultant, I wanted to be able to do better in my own research to conduct data analysis. And it has been extremely useful to see what students learn in the context of data literacy, and it helps me to see where statistics training might overlap with or benefit from complementary data-related skills like those that we're going to discuss today. Both Emily and I are research and instruction librarians, so both instruction but also research, and data literacy is really a nice intersection of where our research is integrated with our teaching practices. And as a side note, it was very eye-opening to have a student's perspective about what data I was submitting both to our learning management system on our campus, as well as the commercial publisher that provides the interactive textbook that we used. But that is a different topic for another day. Emily?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Emily Mann, and I am the Student Success Librarian at the University of South Florida, St. Petersburg. I have been in my position for just over a year now. And before that, I was a research and instruction librarian at Florida State University, and I've worked at several other universities. Data literacy is a new interest for me. It is something that I really became interested in when I started at USF St. Pete. I was able to join the data literacy faculty learning community that Teresa is going to talk about a little bit later. And I realized that data literacy isn't something that you have to be scared of. When I heard the word data, I thought of statistics and being really smart with numbers, and that is not something I think of myself. There's a reason I became a research librarian that didn't focus in the sciences or anything like that. But I realized that data literacy is really just a part of information literacy. One statement that I've heard from a data librarian at Rutgers, Ryan Womack, was that a librarian is less of a finder of information than a guide, and that it's not our job as librarians to always find all the data, but it's our job to act as a data Sherpa. So we kind of guide people to the right place. And I thought that was a really good statement about what the librarian's job is in data literacy. So moving forward. So we would like to hear from you guys what your experience with data literacy is and what you're hoping to get from that webinar. Teresa just put the link for the Padlet in the chat. I'm not going to share the screen just because there was some confusion when I was practicing with this, but if you click on that link there on Padlet, you will be able to see everybody's responses. There's a plus sign at the bottom right side, and you can click that and it'll allow you to add, or you can just double click anywhere and you can draw pictures or just write whatever you want. So we will give you just a few minutes to write in there, and then this Padlet will stay up so you guys can kind of see what other people are saying. And also we can kind of see what you guys were hoping to get. I see a lot of newbies exploring. One person loves data, so that's great to see. Let's see, new to the topic. Primary responsibility is data discovery. Okay. So you are a data Sherpa. Talked about data literacy through open data lens. Interesting. Couple more news. Hoping to learn, just finished my first biostats class, so you can probably teach me a few things about stats. And again, we're going to talk about data literacy and doing a needs assessment for your institution, figuring out what the needs are, because I know when we started, and we'll talk about this a little more, I think our thought was that our faculty had needs about learning to use some data software. And it turns out they kind of had software, they knew what they were doing, but they were concerned about how they were going to teach their students. So I am going to go ahead and move forward, but these are some really good answers, and I appreciate everyone who took a minute to take part in that. So today, our agenda, and I hope that these are kind of the things that are going to be interesting to you. We're going to talk a little bit about what data literacy is, particularly in the context that we're using it today. We're going to talk about doing data literacy needs assessment for your institution. We're going to talk about integrating data literacy into instruction and also other outcomes that might come from your data literacy needs assessment. We're going to talk about the future work we're planning to do, and then we're going to have some time for questions and answers. So the first question, of course, is what is data literacy? Data literacy includes skills such as recognizing and understanding basic data types and formats, reading, interpreting, and critically evaluating data and data sources, and integrating data into different contexts. And I think that this could easily be any other kind of literacy, right? So it could be information literacy. It could be sometimes people are talking about news literacy. And so data is just another different type of information. And so data literacy is just kind of understanding how data is being used within information. The important thing is that being data literate is essential for today because so much data is collected and it's presented to us in so many different ways. One of the things I always tell my students in my first class with them as I say, do you guys collect any data on yourself? And they say no. And then I say, oh, does anyone have an iPhone? Does it tell you your screen time for that week? I know my iPhone has been telling me my screen time has been up this week, which again, sometimes I feel it's a little judgy, but that's data that's being collected about you. And so it's important to recognize that data really is always being collected. And so we can stick our heads in the sand, but it's not going to stop being collected and it's not going to stop being used. So data literacy really is becoming an essential part of being a citizen in today's economy.
So the next step is doing a data literacy needs assessment. So I'm going to talk a little bit about give you some broader context about the broader landscape of the library literature, and then move on to what we've been doing at USF St Petersburg. So several publications have informed our thinking on this topic, and all of the citations that are mentioned on this slide are also provided in full on our references slide at the end. So some of you might be familiar with the Data Information Literacy Project, the results of which were documented in a monograph edited by Jake Carlson and Lisa Johnston in 2014. The first chapter of that book reprints an article that they initially published in Portal in 2011. And that article from 2011 documents their original needs assessment and proposes 12 core competencies, ranging from the introduction to databases and data formats, to data management, data wrangling, data preservation, data reuse, and so on and so forth. Their goal was to identify data information literacy needs of novice researchers and then develop the necessary training for graduate students, primarily in the sciences. So it's a great monograph. It covers a lot of ground and a lot of disciplinary work. More broadly, 2 library and information science faculty members at a university in Spain wrote about data literacy within the context of information literacy. So basically, proposing data literacy competencies meant for librarians at any type of library, from public to K through 12 and academic, in order to begin integrating data literacy into information literacy instruction. And that was really useful to have those 2 very comprehensive looks at data literacy from completely different perspectives. And then the third article that I'll just mention focuses more on undergraduate students, which is where most of our students are on our campus. Yasmin Shorish, she argues or points out that, data literacy is not just for researchers, but also for undergraduate students, regardless of their discipline of study. So with that context in mind, I'll go ahead and shift to the initiatives on our campus. USF St Petersburg has around 5,000 students, undergraduate and master's level. We're part of the USF system, but we've been independently accredited for about 15 years. That's about to change. We're getting ready to pursue consolidated accreditation with our larger R1 Tampa campus, as well as a smaller Sarasota Manatee campus. And consolidation is scheduled to begin July 1st. So when we started this initiative, so some librarian colleagues of ours, they were focused on data management, just like the Carlson group at Purdue. And they were interested in finding out if our faculty who absolutely pursue research on our campus, did they need more support for data management plans and that kind of thing to address the requirements that began to be mandated, 10 to 15 years ago by NIH and NSF. But the results of the structured interviews, like Emily alluded to earlier, indicated that they were less concerned with writing detailed data management plans because they were able to rely on their research colleagues at larger institutions to take care of that for them. What they were more interested in was general data management planning, identifying repositories when they didn't have other alternatives, but also were interested in supporting student research and teaching data-related skills to their students. I was interested in data literacy myself when I came on board, and so I joined with Tina, who had done the earlier work, and we went ahead and proposed a faculty learning community so that we could talk with faculty and find out more what they were doing with regard to teaching and learning across disciplines in data issues. So our proposal was accepted, and we co-facilitated the faculty learning community. It was a collaborative effort with both librarians and teaching faculty from beginning to end. And in the fall, as we got going on this, our discussions within the faculty learning community, our broader campus faculty body, our faculty governance body, they voted to incorporate the undergraduate curriculum that had been adopted by our Tampa campus. And that looks like, it'll be on the next slide here. As you can see, information and data literacy is a central component, and this is supposed to provide a scaffolding approach to the undergraduate curriculum in anticipation of consolidation. So as you can see, the dual focus of information and data literacy works really well for we librarians. So I want to now, I'll share a little bit. So I don't know how many people are familiar with faculty learning communities. And so I'll just quickly mention a couple of features of how they're structured on our campus. The Center for Innovative Teaching and Learning, so basically the faculty professional development group on campus, puts out calls for proposals in the spring, and then the faculty learning communities are funded in August, and they run through the academic year. So we recruited faculty. So once our proposal was accepted, we were responsible for recruiting faculty one-on-one, and then CEDL, that group, also helped recruit faculty by announcing which faculty learning communities on what topics we're going to run for that year. We were committed to meeting about once a month through the academic year, and each faculty learning community receives $5,000 of funding to support whatever initiatives, whether it be going to a conference together or buying equipment or whatever. And we actually didn't spend that money for us, but we did spend the $500 food stipend that everybody got to just facilitate meetings. And the points of this particular faculty learning community are that, unlike what's in the library literature, which is librarians leading communities to provide information about information literacy to faculty, our approach was that we were trying to learn alongside interested faculty from a variety of disciplines. And so we all came to common goals together. So it wasn't from a librarian perspective or from a faculty perspective. It was about data literacy across campus, across disciplines. And we spent the first half of the year sharing our own favorite data analysis tools for research and teaching. And then we grappled with developing competencies from those more comprehensive lists of competencies to customize for our specific students and campus needs. So this next slide kind of shows what we came up with, which is, it's basically just we tweaked and customized and picked out the things that we felt were most applicable to our students across disciplines. And what we came to understand is, so you'll see that data analysis is not listed on this slide, and that is because data analysis is a core skill that entire courses are dedicated to. So students that need to learn data analysis take statistics. They have to take applied statistics for their discipline to use disciplinary tools and whatnot. But these are complementary skills that can be applied more diffusely throughout the curriculum, regardless of whether data analysis is a learning outcome for that particular course, if that makes sense. And I also want to point out that we see these competencies as a kind of living guide. So we have already, since we did our first poster during the year of the faculty learning community and put together these preliminary competencies, we have tweaked them already, and then we have some ongoing research that we're going to get into a little bit later where we are going to test them and probably modify them further.
So the data literacy competencies were one of the first outputs that we got from our faculty learning community. And something else that came from our faculty learning community, particularly as a place to share these competencies, was our data literacy toolkit. And Teresa just put our data literacy toolkit link right into the chat. And we built this on a LibGuide, and we put it in our faculty resources LibGuide area. And the point of the data literacy toolkit was to, again, not just to teach data literacy, but to give instructors throughout our campus the tools in order to teach data literacy themselves. So here is just a screenshot from our data literacy teaching toolkit. It includes the competencies, so you can see the competencies right there. So it's easy for people to find them, relatively easy. You know, for librarians, sometimes using LibGuides is easier than for other people. But we did actually teach our data literacy toolkit during our week of welcome for new instructors and for older instructors as well if they wanted to come to it. So in the summer, as faculty were coming onto campus, we offered a workshop on using the data literacy teaching toolkit in order to share it with our faculty. The toolkit also houses activities for both general education as well as upper level and undergraduate research. And these are activities that were submitted by both librarians as well as faculty who were in our learning faculty community. So there's activities that could be integrated into different kinds of classes and really integrated into different sorts of subject matter. Again, we wanted to provide, of course, librarians are happy to do workshops, anything like that if we're asked to, but we wanted to provide the instructors with a place to do this on their own. This data literacy teaching toolkit, it doesn't have to live on the library webpage, but because we proposed it and we knew it would be easy to put up as a LibGuide, that's why we decided to use that particular tool. Just a little bit of data about our data literacy toolkit. Of our 363 research guides, this LibGuide was ranked in the top 50 for this year, and so it was used pretty well. That's including all of our different classes LibGuides. And looking at just the total views for faculty-related LibGuides, it's the black line, so it was used second most after just the general faculty services one. And you can see, if you look at that gray line, which is a lot smaller, that's data management. And so data literacy teaching toolkit was a lot more interesting to our faculty, or at least viewed a lot more than the data management LibGuide. So the next step after doing our assessment was starting to integrate data literacy into library instruction. I am a first-year student success librarian, so I work a lot with our first-year students. So that includes a university success class, that includes the English comp classes, and so what I created was a simple data visualization activity, and it is based on Dear Data, which is a project that was done by 2 artists where they would write each other postcards weekly after collecting data about themselves, and they would visualize that data in a very artistic way. So what I did for my activity is I talked to the students about the fact that data literacy or data visualizations really depend on who your audience is, and they don't have to just be bar charts. And I gave them different sets of data. For a lot of them, they were able to either use the USF fact book, so I had data already there for them. This is an example of one of the students' activities. I have the students partner up, and they can use either factbook data or they can collect their own data. And I have them create a visualization. This is a really nice low-tech, really easy activity. It does take, I generally do one shot, so it takes about 45 minutes. I talk to them a little bit about data. It's a flipped classroom, so I do have modules about data literacy that I have them use ahead of time and do and participate on. And then they come into the classroom, we talk a little bit about it, I explain the project, and then I have them create their own data visualization. So this first one is the USF St. Pete diversity, and I thought this was nice because we do have a lot of nice palm trees on our campus. And you can see they kind of tried to make the sizes a little bit different, so they were cognizant of that. I do also ask the students to present these and explain their reasoning behind it. Then we had this one I thought was very cute, people with drinks versus people without drinks. They have the total number of people. So they really start to think about what is the kind of information you have to collect with data. I like this activity because it starts the students thinking about who was collecting the data ahead of time. Data isn't just finite. I think a lot of the times before we start talking about this and do data literacy, students think, well, data is just solid, and so you just have to trust it. But I think that it gets them using critical thinking skills when we do something like this, because they start really looking at the fact that visualizations can be altered a little bit, as well as the data that is actually collected.
So like I mentioned, I'm the science librarian, and so I tend to teach, unlike Emily, I tend to teach at multiple levels, but in maybe the same disciplines. So I teach sometimes one-shots in introduction to biology, capstone seminars, graduate courses, and things like that. And during the course of our faculty learning community, when we're discussing these things with other faculty, what we kind of found anecdotally was that students really, really respond when they're working with data that they themselves are creating or has local kind of meaning or affinity. So just like Emily, using data that is about themselves or that they are collecting actively, when students are at the capstone and starting to do original research and that kind of thing, simulating actual data collection and helping them make the judgments of how to structure a data table and synthesize data before they get to the analysis can be eye-opening and helps students cross the threshold of understanding about how data is created. And so the photo of this is an example that I have taken from statistics education, and the original article is on, or a link to the original research article is on our data literacy toolkit, but basically it is launching gummy bears, taking measurements, doing kind of a group project. And I have done this as a workshop for librarians who are not data librarians per se, but library science graduate students and people earlier in their careers. And even there, I think that it's helpful. It's helpful for people who don't design experiments and collect original data to just get a feel for how that happens, how that process happens. And so that's an activity that's a standalone activity. But then there's also many of us instruction librarians, the question to us is teach students to use the scholarly literature. And so this kind of just takes more of a traditional library instruction about scholarly literature and how to find articles, and just takes it a little more in the direction of emphasizing the data visualizations. And I have used this particular activity at all 4 levels. So in a freshman orientation, giving students an example article of research done by faculty on our campus or scientists who live in our local area, and then have them look at the article and kind of break it apart, an introduction to scholarly literature, but then looking at a particular data visualization and seeing, is this following best practices? Do you understand what the message that they're trying to convey is just by looking at it, and that kind of thing. So just diving in. And so again, I've used this. You can customize it for different disciplines by using different articles, make it local, make it very specialized. It can, if it's with a research assignment that students have been assigned by the faculty member, you can have them find their own article and then come and kind of discuss it. And then use that as a launching tool for finding other articles and doing research, like we normally talk about in information literacy kinds of workshops.
So regarding our instruction assessment, I have done a little bit of formal assessment, and I know Teresa's done a bit of informal assessment. Teresa, do you want me to go first?
Sure.
Okay, so as I said, I have a flipped classroom model, so I do have the students do modules before they come into the class, and those modules have assessment, just a couple little quick survey questions in them, and then I have them after class, if we have time, do a quick little survey at the end. Some of the numbers that I thought were really interesting is after taking the class, a lot more students said they used data daily. So before they come into the class, 32% said that they use data daily, and after taking the class, 51% said that they did. And a lot of those numbers came from people who were saying, oh, I don't use data in my life. And so just having that class, talking with the students, we get that data literacy idea that data is everywhere and that we're using data really going. More of them also said they were more comfortable using data and paper and assignments after the class. So that was nice to see. Of course, a lot of the students already said they felt pretty comfortable. So you have to take this kind of assessment with a grain of salt.
Yeah, and I tend to just use informal methods of assessment, so the data in context assignment, and just the same as in my regular traditional workshops that I do, is just give an index card and ask them about whatever we're talking about, and then get some feedback about what they learned, what they might still have questions about, that kind of thing, and invite them. So it's really more about engaging them and giving them an opportunity to communicate with me offline as opposed to in a group setting. And that's, so far, it's useful to me to find out what things I might mention in passing that strike students versus, what points I'm trying to get across. So that's always useful.
So that is our data assessment, our data needs assessment that we've gone through at University of South Florida St. Petersburg, and some of the work that has come through that assessment. So now we're going to talk a little bit about some of the ongoing work we're doing and some of the future work that we hope to do. Because all of this really is fairly new. As I said, I've only been at the university for a year, and Teresa is coming on 2 years, is 2 or 3 years?
Yeah, I guess I'm about at 2.5.
2.5. So neither of us have been at our institution for a huge amount of time. So we do have a lot of future work that we're excited to do to continue to integrate data literacy into our general information literacy program. So we talked about some of the past things, and some of the future things that we're planning to do is, the first one is we are working with Rollins College, which if you are not from Florida, you might not have heard of it, but it is a very similar sized institution here in Florida. It's a private college close to Orlando, and we've been working with some librarians there. I believe we saw them talking about something about data literacy, and Teresa reached out to them, and we've been working with them on a chapter for a book that we are doing some collaborative research on. And what we're doing is cross-institutional interviews and focus groups with faculty. And we did those structured interviews. Well, I wasn't part of the structured interviews, but in 2014, our institution did structured interviews asking about data management and things like that with the faculty. And what we're looking at now is, how do faculty want librarians to support them with data literacy? I think a lot of faculty are unaware that librarians can even support data literacy. And so we are starting these interviews, and we're going to do a little bit of research and see what different smaller undergraduate serving institutions are looking for with data literacy. Another project that I am working on is a data privacy project with some librarians at the University of Florida. Because we are a branch campus, we kind of fit into two little neat pockets, so we can do collaborative research this way. We are a smaller campus, but we are also part of a larger campus. So the larger universities in Florida are Florida State University, University of Florida, and University of South Florida, as well as University Central Florida. But working with the University of Florida, we are hoping to look at how students think about data privacy, because I think that's one of the biggest pieces of data literacy, and one that's really important to me, because data is being collected on our students, and our students are giving their information out. And we all have clicked yes to terms and services on all sorts of websites, because otherwise you can't use those websites. But a lot of privacy is going out the window. And so just having informed citizens is really important, and that's something that librarians can really be a part of. So data privacy as a component of data literacy, I talked about it a little bit. But one of the things that has really informed our research was a report from Project Information Literacy called Information Literacy in the Age of Algorithms. It is a report that came out this year, and it talks about algorithms, which are programs on computers and things that are created by data. And these are created by data that is collected on information seekers. There's a lot of real-world implications regarding data literacy, and I think that this article really touches on those. One of the things that it says is data literacy is happening invisibly and constantly. Students are aware that it's happening, but a lot of them have a very, well, there's nothing I can do about it kind of attitude. And there were a lot of really great suggestions in this article, and so that is something that I hope to see investigated more for data literacy. Like Teresa was saying, our university, even if the university itself isn't collecting data, which it probably is, a lot of the third-party vendors we're working with are. So our LMSs, our learning management systems, Canvas, Blackboard, all of them are collecting data. And students don't really have a choice about if they want to use these products, particularly as everything has moved online so quickly this past couple of months. A lot of data privacy has not been considered during all of this because we needed to get things online. But it is imperative that our students have some agency and that they have an understanding of what's going on out there. So with that doom and gloom, that is Teresa and I's presentation on looking at what data literacy is and how data literacy can be implemented at your university. Teresa and I focus on undergraduates, but every level needs different amounts of data literacy, and we hope that this presentation has helped you to feel comfortable assessing the needs of your institution. We've got a couple of references here, and we can go back to them later. You guys do all have the slides, but for now, we are open to questions.
Thank you so much, Teresa and Emily, for a great presentation. We will pause for a moment in case people are furiously typing, and keep an eye on the chat box for your questions.
I'll answer. So there's a question in the chat that says, how do you identify courses or faculty to work with in terms of teaching data literacy in classes? There's a couple of things I can say about that. One is I have offered so for example, the statistics professor, the one who I took the statistics class from, he was actually in our data literacy faculty learning community, and he asked if I would be, and he was giving a Start Strong math extended orientation to a small group of students. And so when he asked if the library, he wanted to introduce those students to the library, and so I said, well, what about this activity about data in context? It can kind of introduce new students to the fact that their professors are also doing research that might be in different areas from their teaching. And so it's about introducing students to the concept of scholarly community. And then, so everybody that I do regular instruction for databases or whatever, I have offered off and on, depending on how much time I have, depending on how, if the faculty want suggestions for me, I can pull out these various possibilities for active learning things versus things that need to complement an existing assignment.
I would also say in terms of identifying courses and faculty to work with in terms of teaching data literacy, is a lot of it is marketing so that faculty know that librarians can teach these kinds of things. Rather than when you're reaching out to faculty saying, hey, I can teach data literacy, naming specific competencies that you might know could be useful to the course that they are teaching. Again, we are a small university, so we're really lucky in that we know most of our faculty, and we're able to kind of start collecting syllabuses and things like that. So we can kind of see where we can insert ourselves. But even if you're at a larger institution, which I have been as well, connecting with faculty at the beginning of when they come in is always a really good place to kind of catch faculty and let them know that this is a service you can provide. So if you have new faculty orientations, letting them know. Again, not just saying we can teach data literacy, we can teach information literacy, because a lot of time that just sort of goes over people's heads. That's a little bit librarian jargon sort of thing. But rather saying very specifically, I can teach students about understanding data visualization, or we can do an activity about that.
So I see another question about suggestions for data literacy activities for doctoral level students and faculty. And while we don't normally teach those on our campus, we do have our College of Marine Science at our broader university is actually sited here on the St. Pete campus. So organizationally they are separate, but geographically they are here. And so I have worked with a lot of those students and collaborated with them on different topics. And I would say that once they get past master's level, so master's level is still doing like content, just absorbing content. But at the doctoral level, there still are seminar courses, discussion courses. And I have used that data in context assignment for each and every level that I have taught. And in the graduate level seminar courses, it's just that the discussion kind of changes. So you can emphasize, you know, you can look more at the data sets themselves, and you can talk a little bit more about provenance, because oftentimes doctoral students, so it depends on the discipline of whether they are looking to compile a data set from multiple different data sets that are already existing, or whether they're doing experimental data collection themselves. So, and then the ways that they're going to represent that. So it's kind of like talking to them as they are future authors and looking at the existing scholarship as potential models of good and bad data visualizations. And we all can use tips and tricks on data visualization. So I have a few articles from local scientists that their data visualizations are phenomenal. And so I like to give those like wow examples and discuss those and just spark discussion.
So I have not worked with doctoral level students at University of South Florida, St. Petersburg, but when I was at Florida State University, I did work with doctoral students. As I said, I didn't do a lot with data literacy before, but I think this is really where that data Sherpa idea comes in, because just sort of having activities where you can have them look for data sets that could be useful to their particular research interests could be something you could do in class. I know in Florida we're really lucky that we have, sometimes we're lucky, we have the Sunshine State laws, and so everything is available. And we have a really good website that actually lets you look up statistics in Florida through all the different Florida web pages. And it's really useful for my social science students, especially in that doctoral level area. So it's a little bit more of your kind of traditional data literacy or information literacy instruction, but focusing on where to find those data sets and things like that. I think we had a question earlier about what differences do you see across disciplines regarding their data literacy needs? I think one of the things that we found really interesting, particularly in our faculty learning community, is that a lot of professors feel really uncertain about teaching data literacy at all, especially if they're not teaching that data course. I'm going to let Teresa kind of jump in on that as well while I try and find that Florida data page for you.
As far as cross-disciplinary, I don't think I mentioned, so our faculty learning community included faculty who teach environmental science, and especially like focusing on field methods, to people that teach biologists, but also political scientists, criminologists, environmental science and policy. So across everybody, I do feel like many faculty very much rely on whatever data analysis tool that they learned in graduate school. If they are, even the statisticians have preferences based on familiarity. And it is splintered by discipline. So for example, the poli-sci people use Stata, whereas the environmental science, natural sciences people tend to use more programming heavy. And some people are using Excel only, and they really are only just doing the very basics, and they're needing to work with statisticians or other experts in order to get their data analysis for their own research completed. And then the other thing is, it seems like there's a big difference, and I'm starting to do some research on exploring what students are doing when they pursue undergraduate research. And I was surprised to find that really not as many students as I expected were creating experimental data sets. Many of them are compiling data sets. So in a sense, they are creating, putting their own data into Excel and creating their own structure for data, but they're taking it from lots of different sources. And so they really are, they are needing to be able to wrangle data, and that's what I kind of alluded to earlier about which skills really only graduate students need. The wrangling and converting data, I think that is very pertinent for undergraduate students as well. And then somebody else asks, if we've included any basic stats or data analysis into your sessions. So I told you that my last statistics that I had taken was like 20 years ago plus, and I did not feel comfortable doing that. But in my discussions with students in that data and context activity, I did start approaching discussions about research design, about field work versus compiled data and provenance and that kind of thing. And so I really wanted to take statistics myself to be able to talk a little bit more confidently about sample size, confidence intervals, standard deviation, and those kinds of things. I still would not hold myself out as an expert. But I do, so I am partnering the statistics faculty that I mentioned. So he's consulting with me on my research, but then I'm also going to help him this summer with the next introductory courses. And I think that it's useful. My preference is to kind of help add the context because the statistics training really does only have a very limited amount of time. They are so focused, they have to spend the time on the mechanics of the calculations. And so he tries and he is successful giving labs so that students can work with more real life data sets. I think that bringing in examples of the scholarly literature with more disciplinary context and background can be useful.
My answer is no. I am not a statistician. I last took statistics in high school, and I'm pretty clear with the students that I'm not an expert in statistics, and I don't expect them to be either, that they should look to their instructors who definitely are experts if they have those kinds of questions. But I just really want to get them started realizing that data is everywhere, it's part of their life, and that you have to be data literate in today's society.
All right, thank you both. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I just had one other person asked about that website I was talking about, and it's just myflorida.com, and you can literally type statistics into that search box, and it sends you to all sorts of Florida statistics if you are looking for them. But it also sends you to all of our Florida information because it's all on there.
Great, thank you so much. So you have Emily and Teresa's email addresses on the slide if any other questions pop up, but for now, we're going to wrap things up. As I mentioned, this webinar is being recorded. There are a few moving parts involved with getting it posted on our YouTube page, but once it's posted there, everyone who registered on nnlm.gov will get an email from me with the link to the recording, as well as the slides again. And if you are planning to claim the Medical Library Association certificate and continuing education credits, I am going to drop the link to the evaluation in the chat box. And once you fill out that evaluation, you'll get the code that you can use on MedLibEd. So thank you all again, everyone, for attending today's webinar, and a huge thank you to Teresa and Emily for your time and insight. Have a great afternoon, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.